Back. Today we're going to talk about Othello Act 5. And I want to start out with, because this is the act where everything comes together, where all the action happens instead of all of the clandestine strategy. I wanted to say strategery, just in honor of our President George Bush Jr. Or young Bush is what I call him. It's not Junior. Anyway, so Aristotle, the Greek philosopher, who created the encyclopedia, who actually created the idea of universities to transmit knowledge. He was the disciple of Plato and Socrates, the three great Greek philosophers. He talked about the idea of catharsis. And catharsis means purge. His language was purgation of emotion. And in this way, he pioneered sociology in a sense, because he's commenting on the importance of what art does for the general citizenry. Many of you have seen The Purge, or Purge 1, Purge 2, Purge 3. What is it, Purge 13 now? I don't know. Maybe it's not up to 13. I know it's not up to 13, but there's going to be one after another, because having people kill each other as spectacle, even if they're pretending to, is a moneymaker. So Aristotle's idea of catharsis was that good tragedy serves as a purgation of feeling for the audience. And we're going to see a lot of that happen, where people, as you're watching it, you're shocked, you're dismayed, you're afraid. All these many different emotions that we experience when we watch a play. Or Aristotle wasn't alive for TV, but something on TV that actually ties into this idea, where at the end you might feel like, I am drained. So it's Act 5, Scene 1 is what I'm going to talk about with this video. So Scene 1. And Iago and Rodrigo enter the stage. And Iago, who is most villainous, of course, he is planning on Rodrigo being killed. Why? Because he doesn't want to have to come clean with the idea that instead of taking jewels to Desdemona, he's just been cashing them out so that he has enough cash on hand for himself and the life he leads. So instead of taking out bankruptcy, why not make your creditor die? And that's how Iago thinks. Iago comes in and says, "Here, stand behind this bulk. Straight will he come. Where that good rapier bear and put it home. So pull out your sword, wear it bare, and put it home," meaning kill, because he's planning on Cassio getting killed as well. "Quick, quick, fear nothing. I'll be at thy elbow. I'll be right here to support you." Kind of like when somebody says to a teenager, "Look, if you run across the busy freeway right there, I'll be right behind you." When no, it's just going to be the spectacle of the person being run over. "I'll be at thy elbow. It makes us or it mars us. Think on that and fix most firm thy resolution." And Rodrigo, who is not a swordsman, says, "Be near to me, be near at hand. I may miscarry in it. Back me up. Here at thy hand, be bold, and take thy stand." And then here we have the one time that Rodrigo actually talks to the audience and says, in his aside, I have no great devotion to the deed. He doesn't want to kill Cassio, and yet he has given me satisfying reasons. 'Tis but a man gone. Force my sword, he dies. So he's trying to justify in his own mind why it is that he's about to murder a person. And he's calling him, it's but a man gone. Can you imagine if we all thought about human life as, well, it's just another one. Right now in the United States, we have more than 200,000 deaths from the COVID virus. That means that there are people out there grieving for everybody who has died in their circle. So we're talking about millions of grieving people. And can you imagine somebody that says, it's just another life. It'll be okay. And Iago says, I have rubbed this young quat almost to the sense, and he grows angry. Now whether he kill Cassio or Cassio kill him or each do kill the other, every way makes my gain. Iago anything that happens for Iago is, I can't lose. He's like the stockbroker with insider information. I don't care one way or the other. Things are going to work out for me. Live, Rodrigo. He calls me to a restitution large, meaning that Iago has a lot of money that is owed to Rodrigo. Restitution large of gold and jewels that I have bobbed from him as gifts to Desdemona. It must not be. I am not paying that money back I stole from him. If Cassio do remain, he has a daily beauty in his life that makes me ugly. So, here we have Iago calling himself ugly only if Cassio continues to live. And besides, the more may unfold me to him. So, and I've talked to Othello, and maybe Othello will tell him things that make Cassio reconsider everything. And he doesn't want that either. So he needs Cassio dead. There stand I in much peril. No, Cassio must die. Be it so. I hear him coming. Cassio enters, of course. And Rodrigo says, I know his gait. 'Tis he. Villain, thou diest. And Rodrigo attacks Cassio, who has no idea that he's on the field of battle. Why? Because he's a professional soldier. He's used to battling and fighting wars in the field, not where he's from. And Cassio says, that thrust may have been my enemy indeed, but that my coat is better than thou knowest it, I will make proof of thine. So, Cassio is wearing armor, male armor, underneath his shirt, which Rodrigo doesn't know that. And he's like, yeah, you hit me, but I've got on a bulletproof vest. And he takes out his sword, Cassio does, and he thrusts it into Rodrigo. Now Rodrigo immediately is saying, I am slain, I'm dying. And then, while that's going on, Iago runs out and wounds Cassio in the leg. And then he runs off the stage. And Cassio says, I am maimed forever, help, murder, murder, ho, murder. And he falls down to the ground, which can happen, right? Because if you rupture the artery on a person's leg, people bleed out in just a couple minutes. So Othello comes in. The voice of Cassio, because Othello wants Cassio dead. Iago keeps his word. And Rodrigo says, "Oh, villain that I am." And Othello says, "It is even so." Cassio's like, "Help! Oh, help, ho, light! A doctor, a surgeon." And Othello says, "It is he. Oh, brave Iago." So he's totally seduced by Iago by this point in the play. He calls him honest and just and noble. And it says that he actually is his mentor. He teaches me. "Strumpet, I come," Othello says. He's referring to his wife. "Whore, I'm coming at you too now." Can you imagine being in a relationship where your husband calls you a whore? "Forth of my heart those charms, thine eyes are blotted, thy bed just stained shall with lust's blood be spotted." So even though I know I took your virginity and you bled on the sheets, you're going to bleed some more. This is someone who is really messed up. So Ludovico and Graziano walk in, and Cassio says, "What ho, no watch, no passes? Murder, murder," meaning, "I am dying, help me." And Graziano says, "'Tis some mischance." The cry is very direful because they haven't figured out who is crying out for help. And Cassio says, "Oh, help!" And Ludovico, "Hark! Oh, I can hear something." And Rodrigo, "Oh, wretched villain." And Ludovico comments on it. "2 or 3 groan, it's a heavy night. These may be counterfeits. Let's think it unsafe to come in to cry without more help. We've got a bunch of people saying they're dying. Maybe we're wrong." And Rodrigo, "Nobody come? Then shall I bleed to death," because he is bleeding out at the time. And Ludovico says, "Hark!" Iago comes in with a light, which is very ironic because Iago is the personification of evil, of darkness, not of light. Here one comes in his shirt with light and weapons. And Iago, "Who's there? Whose noise is it that cries on murder? I don't know what's going on." Even though he just orchestrated this whole encounter. And when Rodrigo didn't wound Cassio severely, he himself did it. What's going on? We do not know. "Did you hear a cry?" And Cassio's like, "Here, here, for heaven's sake, help me." What is that, the 3rd time he's asked for help? And Iago, "Oh, what's the matter?" And Graziano says, "This is Othello's ancient, as I take it." And Ludovico says, "The same indeed, a very valiant." Now he's called valiant, right? And Iago, "What do you hear that cries so grievously? What's wrong, Cassio?" "Iago, I'm spoiled, undone by villains. Give me some help." Another time he cries for help. "Oh, me, Lieutenant! What villains have done this?" "I think that one of them is hereabout and cannot make away." Meaning Rodrigo, who is wounded. "Oh, treacherous villains." Do you hear how ironic every comment that Iago makes is? Why? Because he's the one who's done all of this. And he says to Ludovico and Graziano, "What are you there? Come in and give me some help." And Rodrigo's like, "Oh, help me here," because he's bleeding out. And Cassio says, "That's one of them." And Iago, "Oh, murderous slave! Oh, villain!" And he kills Rodrigo, who has been his best friend. It looks good though, right? Because, oh, that's the person who just wounded Cassio. I'll kill him. As he said earlier, either way, I win. And Rodrigo says, "Oh, damned Iago, oh, inhuman dog." So, this is the first time that Rodrigo has labeled Iago accurately. He calls him an inhuman dog. Back in the Middle Ages and into the Renaissance, calling somebody a dog was one of the highest forms of condemnation. Now, this form persists throughout today. What do people call women? People call women bitch or bitches. Why? Because what does a female dog do when she goes into heat? She can have puppies from 7 different fathers. So it's another way of saying whore. And Rodrigo is calling Iago an inhuman dog. He's calling him a whore. And Iago's all, "Kill men in the dark? Where be these bloody thieves? How silent is the town? Oh, murder, murder! What may you be? Are you good or evil?" And Ludovico says, "As you shall prove us, praise us." "Oh, is that you, Senor Ludovico?" "He, sir. I cry you mercy. Here's Cassio, hurt by villains." "Really, Cassio?" And Iago says, "How is it, brother?" And Iago is the one who has wounded him. "My leg is cut in 2. "Heaven forbid! Light, gentlemen, I'll bind it with my shirt." So Iago plays the first responder, right? As if that's going to work, after he's the one who has wounded Cassio. And Bianca comes onto the stage. Bianca is Cassio's girlfriend, except for the one he pays, which would be his prostitute, right? The one who has designs on him actually helping her to not have to sell her body. And she comes in and she says, "What's the matter? Who is it that cried?" And Iago, "Who is it that cried?" And then she sees Cassio on the ground. "Oh, my dear Cassio, my sweet Cassio, oh Cassio, Cassio, Cassio." And Iago says, "Oh, notable strumpet." And strumpet is just a fancy way of calling a woman a whore. "Oh, notable whore." Or, "Oh, famous whore." "Oh, renowned whore." "Cassio, may you suspect who they should be that have thus mangled you?" So he asked Cassio, "Do you know who did this?" "No." And Graziano, "I'm sorry to find you thus. I have been to seek you." And Iago's all, "Lend me a garter." So he turns to Bianca and has her take off her garter. Now, a garter is not used in common times typically, although people sometimes use it on the day of marriage. A garter was meant to hold up a woman's stockings. This is before nylon. It's back when stockings were made out of cotton. And so Bianca has to pull off the garter, which is, a sexual scene basically. So she's pulling it down her leg and brings it up and gives it to him so that he could help Cassio. So, "Oh, for a chair to bear him easily hence. Bring out a gurney." And Graziano says, sorry. And then Bianca says, "Alas, he faints. Oh, Cassio, Cassio," because Cassio is bleeding out. And Iago's all, "Gentlemen all, I do suspect this trash to be a party in this injury." So he wants to deflect. Who is he calling trash? I want you to think about that. Who's on the stage right now? I do suspect this strumpet, this trash, to be a party in this injury. Patience a while, good Cassio. Come, come, lend me light. Know we this face or no? Alas, my friend and my dear countryman, Rodrigo. Oh, no. Yes, sure. Oh, heaven, Rodrigo. And he pretends to feel bad that the man he owes money to is dead. The man he set up to get killed. And Graziano says, what of Venice? Even he, sir, did you know him? Know him? Yes. Senor Graziano, I cry your gentle pardon. These bloody accidents must excuse my manners that I so neglected you. So he's brown-nosing even at the moment that everything is coming to fruition for him. I should have been more noble to you. And Graziano says, I'm glad to see you. How do you, Cassio? Because he's wanting the answer to be that Cassio's dead. Oh, a chair, a chair. And then Graziano says, Rodrigo? He it is. And Rodrigo's dead on the ground. They bring in a gurney. And Iago says, that's well said. The chair, some good man, bear him carefully from hence. I'll fetch the general surgeon. And he says to Bianca, for you, mistress, save you your labor. He that lies slain here, Cassio, was my dear friend. What malice was between you? Why did you kill him? He says to Cassio's. I want to say mistress, but a mistress is not somebody a person pays. And Cassio says, sticks up for Bianca and says, none of the world, nor do I know the man. And Iago says to Bianca, what, you look pale. Oh, bear him out of there. And Cassio and Rodrigo are taken off on stretchers. Stay you, good gentlemen. And then he looks back at Bianca and says, look you pale, mistress? Do you perceive the ghastness of her eye? He says back to the two men. He's trying to frame her. Okay? Nay, if you stare, we shall hear more anon. Behold her well, I pray, look upon her. Do you see, gentlemen? Nay, gildiness will speak, though tongues were out of use. I will prove to you that Bianca is behind this incident. And Emilia, Iago's wife, comes in and says, alas, what's the matter? What's the matter, husband? And Iago's all, Cassio has been set here in the dark by Rodrigo and fellows that are escaped. He's almost dead, and Rodrigo is dead. And Emilia runs over to Cassio's but says, alas, good gentleman, alas, good Cassio. And Iago is there. Alas, this is the fruits of whoring. So here we have Iago once again bastardizing the Bible. The fruits of the Spirit are kindness, etc. Right? That Paul wrote those verses. And instead of the fruits of the Spirit, he's talking about the fruits of whoring. This is what happens with men who sleep with prostitutes. Even though at that time, it was very common. It was accepted. I'm not promoting that. I think it's disgusting, personally. But that their code of ethics was that if you got the money, you can pay for whatever you want. There are still people today that believe the same thing. But for Iago to talk about the fruits of whoring leading to death is really, really rich. Because, and I'll ask you this, who is the biggest whore in this play? Who? Pray thee, Amelia, go know of Cassio where he supped tonight. Go find out where he was at. So do the investigation. And then he says to Bianca, who's starting to shake, what do you shake at? Well, he supped. He had dinner at my house. But I therefore shake not. But I'm not shaking because of that. Oh. He was at your house, was he? Did he so? I charge you go with me. And then Amelia, Iago's wife, says, fie upon thee, strumpet. So immediately she takes up her husband's cause. And Bianca says, I am no strumpet, but of a life as honest as you that thus abuse me. I am not a whore, except in equal measure to you who are calling me a whore. And Amelia says, as I? Because she just called her a whore and Iago a whore. Fie upon thee! And Iago, kind gentleman, let's go see poor Cassio dressed. Let's go see him helped out and that his wounds are okay. And he says to Bianca, come, mistress, you must tell us another tale, so make up something else. Amelia, run to the citadel and tell my lord and lady what's happened. Amelia exits, everybody else except for Iago, and he says to the audience, will you go on afore? This is the night that either makes me or fordoes me quite. So, this is the night that could make me or ruin me. If everything goes according to plan, which apparently it has so far, I'm going to be just fine. He has no compassion, no guilt, no sympathy, no human feeling for anybody in his social circle. He hates Othello. He wishes he could sleep with Othello's wife. He dislikes his own wife. He hates Cassio for getting the position over him. He hates Rodrigo because he was stupid enough to give him money. He hates everybody. This is a sociopath. I look forward to talking to you about Scene 2 in Act 5. Thank you.